Hi everyone. Sorry about the different setting today than I typically try to be in the bathroom where the light's a little bit brighter, but my husband's home and he is working outside today, and so it's a little bit loud back there. So I'm hoping that the noise won't be too much over here, and that hold on. Is that any better? Maybe a little. I'm actually sitting with Alice, my piano, which I've talked about in a few other videos, and some of you may know that I work very closely spiritually as far as my own healing work goes for myself personally with Alice, my piano. She's a really, really great vibrational healer for me, and working with her has really helped me heal a lot of issues in my life, personally for myself, and kind of open up and release in areas, and even in the physical body where I might be holding memories or pain or anything like that. So if you're someone that's drawn to kind of vibrational work or sound as a way of healing, know that you can work with instruments to help you release in that way, and it's actually really powerful. And of course, because I feel that everything is its own living energy, Alice has a really unique personality. She's a really old Wurlitzer, and she broke in the soundboard, so she's not going to live for forever as a playing piano in my life, but she's very important, and she does a lot of work with me, and a lot of healing of my wounds with the feminine in my own life. And so I think it's actually kind of perfect that I'm sitting here doing this today, because I wanted to talk a little bit about Mother Mary. One of you messaged me recently asking, that how to connect with this goddess in a different way than a lot of us have. And so for some of us who've been raised, depending on the kind of strand of Christianity that you've been raised in, if you were raised as a strict Christian, you may have looked at Mother Mary as a deity to worship, or you may have been raised like I was, that she wasn't a deity and she was just a woman, and she made a lot of mistakes even though she was Jesus' mom, and wasn't something, a woman to be, in some ways maybe you were told to be like her, but she wasn't viewed as a deity. So for a lot of us, there's kind of like this twofold thing of shame around the fact that she's feminine, right? So she can't be divine. And then there's also the other way of looking at her as this kind of revered and honored deity, who you can call upon for assistance, but who maybe you can't connect with at a personal level. Kind of a removed deity, not in a way that a lot of us would look at deity now, as a part of us to be explored and loved. So I thought it was interesting that this person who messaged me about Mother Mary was asking, how can I connect with her? And I've had other people ask me to do a full review of the Mother Mary Oracle by Alana Fairchild, which I haven't done up to this point in time, even though I love this deck, and a lot of you know that. I recommend it a lot to people, especially in the physical community where I am right now. So yeah, you can tell I'm even reticent really to start talking about Mother Mary, because it is something that even for myself personally, I've had a really difficult time connecting with her energy, and have stayed away from it, just because of my own personal experiences growing up, and also just feeling like she's a lot of times looked at in this kind of Judeo-Christian way of like she's just removed, like she was a human but she wasn't really, and she didn't have sex in order to get impregnated, and so then there's just kind of this view of her as a saint, as a deity, that you kind of are removed from her. Again, to use that word removed, it feels kind of cold and distant, and yet she's actually a very, very powerful goddess for us to connect with. And if we can, as Tori Amos talks about a lot, and you know, I talk about her music a lot too, that's really saved me through multiple times in my life, but if we can marry the two Marys, so Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene, if we can marry those two Marys within our beings, there is a great amount of healing and balance that will occur for us, whether we identify as a woman or we identify as male, but we know that that aspect within ourselves, the feminine within ourselves, does need to be healed and brought back into balance. So connection with her is very powerful, and I would say if you're feeling the call to connect with Mother Mary, connecting with Mary Magdalene is probably an equal call to you as well, and that's something to explore. You know, the Sacred Mother and the Divine Prostitute, the Sacred Prostitute. So there's a lot to look at there. So I was asked, how can I connect with her? Because for this person, it's feeling really stuck and really difficult to connect with her. I think the best way to connect with goddesses, especially ones that have showed up that we don't really know where to start with, is to actually have conversations with them. Excuse me. To actually have conversations with them through meditation. So creating a sacred space for yourself and then allowing yourself to actually meet the goddess and connect and talk with her is really important. And this will take probably excuse me. This will take probably more than one meditation session for you to really come to an understanding of the goddess herself and whatever role she's showing up for you as. And I know this sounds really simple, and I know sometimes, you know, when people ask me questions like they want a step-by-step, but the most effective way I've found to connect with deity, be it masculine or feminine, when it shows up, is to actually sit down and have a conversation with them through meditation. And there's no script for that. Like, if you were looking for a script, what is the name of that author? There's an author who's written a few books, and she has guided meditations to meet goddesses, and they're very powerful. So I'll put that title in the description bar below. But actual direct, just sitting down and letting myself have a conversation with the goddess has been the most powerful way, or the god has been the most powerful way that I've been able to connect intimately with the deity. And when they show up like that, like when you are feeling really drawn to them, or they let you know that they're present in your life, I do feel, and this comes from my own spirituality today, that it's important to honor that and sit down and really connect with them, even if it's not in a deity or an entity that you're going to be walking with for the rest of your life. Their message is still really important for you right now, and it does deserve that time and attention. So just as an example, not using Mother Mary, but when Quan Yin first showed up for me, I was really kind of puzzled and confused that she had shown up, because I've been working with Kali and Inanna a lot, and all of a sudden Quan Yin, she just showed up for me. I had just broken ties with my family and the church that I grew up in, the religion I grew up in, I mean, and I was not expecting Quan Yin to show up. I was kind of thinking that Inanna and Kali were going to keep working with me at that time, but I was really mourning in a lot of ways, and I was kind of going through a culture shock for my, you know, as a person, as Racine, and I needed Quan Yin, and she showed up, and I was not sure how to connect with her, because there was a feeling of empathy and love, but I didn't, she wasn't necessarily as like full color and in your face as the goddesses that I had originally begun to work with consciously. And so what I did was a series of meditations with her where I just sat down in front of my altar and allowed myself to walk into a space where I could meet her. And I had a very, very powerful connection with her through those meditations, and came to a really like beautiful, loving relationship with her, and she is a core goddess for me personally. She is someone who, as a goddess energy, as divine energy, shows up for me time and time again. And the way that I feel, at least at the time of this recording, is that she will continue to do that. And her energy is deeply loving and deeply caring, deeply compassionate, deeply forgiving. And so the gift that I gave myself through that experience was actually, even though I didn't understand why she was showing up when she did, was actually sitting and stopping and just being quiet and allowing myself to have conversations with her. And actually from that experience, I have interacted with every deity, every entity or energy that shows up since then. And I look at those connections as having a conversation and stepping into a meeting with them and a relationship with them in that way. And that has been extremely helpful for me in healing myself, but also understanding why energies show up when they do to work with us, and that they have very important messages for us. So the best way I can say to connect with Mother Mary, and I've done this myself personally, is to actually allow yourself to meet her in meditation, meet up with her. It can be a real place, or you can just let the place show up as far as in your imagination, and then have conversations with her. One of the most healing ways that I've connected with her outside of that is the Mother Mary Oracle by Alana Fairchild. And I know that to the person who messaged me, you said you have been working with that deck and you haven't found that it's really helping you to understand the connection with her. I would say don't give up on working with the Mother Mary Oracle. Keep allowing it to show up for you and to work with it, but really meet her in meditation and just simply ask her why she's there, what her message is, and then sit back and listen to the conversation. So you might be hearing things, you might be seeing things, you might smell things, you might have memories, you might just simply have a knowing of why she's in your life. But it's really, really important to take a step back and allow her to share with you why she's there. And to me, Mother Mary is very much a sister to Quan Yin. And when we can step outside of looking at her as this kind of cold, maternal force kind of holding us accountable, if you will, or a benevolent but kind of removed, again, to use that word, force in our life, when we can see her in living color and really connect with her that way, it's very, very powerful. So that would be my best recommendation for connecting with Mother Mary, is actually meeting her in meditation and having a conversation with her, unscripted, just let it happen. But again, if that's really scary for you, check out the author in the box below. I think her name is Michelle Sky, but I could be wrong. And it's like Goddess Awake, Goddess Alive, Goddess Afoot. I think there's 3. And you can meet the goddesses that way. And they're really powerful guided meditations. I'm not one for a guided meditation. I like to just let things go when I meditate myself. But I do really enjoy her guided meditations, and I found them helpful in connecting with certain goddesses. So that's an option as well. But definitely sitting with her and working with her is really, really important for whatever goddess or god is showing up for you. That's the best recommendation I can give you. So, that being said, I want to talk about the Mother Mary Oracle right now. This is the guidebook. The box has this image on it, and I think inside is yellow. It's published by Blue Angel Gallery. It's a wonderful deck. It's Blue Angel. We would expect no less. You can see the guidebook is nice and weighty. The actual guidebook is 184 pages, so you're getting a lot of material. She has a brief introduction with Mother Mary and how this is Alana Fairchild here, she gives a brief introduction about how she came to work with Mother Mary and why she's in her life. Then you have spreads. I have to say, guys, though, that I don't really use this deck for spreads. I use it for one-card draws, and I use it when especially if I'm doing a guided meditation for a group of people. I will have everyone draw a card from this deck, and I found that it's really, really helpful because for people who are scared of cards and who are coming to a meditation, maybe not expecting that they're going to be drawing a card or doing card work. Mother Mary is a very benevolent, loving force. Excuse me, and she's seen that way quite a bit. So it's less scary for people to know that they're working with Mother Mary cards than, say, Tarot with the Vampires. So I really only use this even when I'm working with other people. The Mother Mary Oracle is primarily a single card draw deck for me. In fact, I don't think I've even done a spread with this deck. It's really more about daily draws or just pulling one card. And I almost always do use the guidebook with this deck. Just like the Isis Oracle and the Quan Yin Oracle, this guidebook is a gold mine, and it's just incredible. And there's just so much information. And it's interesting, through working at the store, I find that a lot of people, they don't want guidebooks like this. People who aren't deck collectors or who don't work with cards a lot, who just want a deck, they kind of want short and sweet and simple. And it actually makes me really sad because I think there's so much just treasure to be found in guidebooks like this. And if we can give ourselves the gift of taking that time out for ourselves to actually read a guidebook like this, even if it's just through drawing a card and reading the meanings, there's just so much beautiful treasure to be found for ourselves spiritually when we do that. So this is a weighty guidebook, and it's one of my favorite things about Alana Fairchild's work, and I think her decks are just, they take healing to a whole nother level. So you can see that there's the card title, very small card imagery production. There's this little paragraph here that kind of sums up what the card meaning is telling you. Then all of this is information on the card, messages, and then there's a healing process and an affirmation for every single card. So you can really take this as a spiritual practice for yourself, as a way of connecting with Mother Mary, not just doing the daily card draw and sitting with what your intuition pulls up for you and then reading the guidebook, but you can also actually do the healing healing process, and then use the affirmation for yourself throughout the day or days following. So this is a really, really powerful spiritual practice to connect with her too. And if you are finding yourself having difficulty connecting with Mother Mary, but you feel called to her, as we were discussing earlier, actually doing the healing process for each of the cards that you end up drawing is going to be a really helpful way to connect with her, at least in my opinion. So the cards, the backings look like this. It's not my favorite backing ever, but I think it's beautiful, and I think it actually does really carry the theme of Mother Mary beautifully. I'm so sorry, the artist, I forgot to say her name. The artist is Shiloh Sophia McLeod. And I have to say personally for myself that her images have been incredibly healing for me and healing my relationship with Mother Mary personally. And I'm kind of still in the process of doing that. But these images are very, they're so loving and gentle and beautiful. And each card title starts with Our Lady. So you're kind of connecting with centuries and centuries of culture that has worshipped her lovingly and passionately. And stepping into that in a really, really powerful way that, at least for me, has been just tremendously healing. The images are beautiful. To me, they're very, very unique. There isn't another deck like this, I don't think, at least not that I've come across yet. So right now, I have this deck right next to my bed. It's the first deck next to my bed, and I've just been connecting with it so powerfully. It's right there. I can draw from it every night before I go to sleep, and just connect with that gentle, inclusive energy that Mother Mary holds. I love this image. Our Lady is starting over. Our Lady of Holy Fire. Love that one. Our Lady who gives peace. So you can see that the images are deeply moving, I feel, and again, really, really unique. So even if you're just looking at this deck from a collector standpoint, this is one that stands out because it's not one that you see that often. So this deck, the size of it is slightly smaller than the Isis Oracle and the Quan Yin Oracle, and I mean slightly, which is a little disappointing to me because I love that card size. The cardstock is okay. It's not as good as Blue Angel's cardstock a few years ago, which again is a little bit disappointing to me, but it's still pretty sturdy. This deck has held up really well for me. Oh, look at that image, guys. You know, it's like anything else. If you take care of it, it will last for years for you. And if you don't accidentally leave your deck too close to the window in the winter and get water damage on it, it will last forever, which I did this past winter, as some of you know. So I did have to repurchase this deck this spring, but that's okay. Lots of people got Mother Mary Oracle cards that weren't damaged on their gifts last year. Yeah, so, and I'll stop with this one because I don't want to show you every image. This deck is just really, really unique, and I think for so many of us, especially in the West, who have a lot of wounding in relation to this, to Mother Mary, to this goddess, this deck goes a long way in healing that and allowing us to be nurtured by a goddess who is encouraging us at this time especially to nurture ourselves and to heal ourselves. This is really a clarion call for self-love and self-care with the Mother Mary Oracle. There are 44 cards in this deck. And again, the guidebook is a treasure. This deck is just really, really special. That's the best way that I can put it. It's a really, really special deck. And it's provided a lot of healing for me personally in relation to my experience of the sacred feminine. And my experience with Christianity and with Christians, with people who identify as Christians. This has been really, really a really powerful way of me being able to step into healing and clarity, and to stop being a victim and to be empowered in my experience of my spirituality and how I am going to choose to interact with deity when it shows up to work with me. So the Mother Mary Oracle by Alana Fairchild, I highly recommend it. What I would most especially say is it's vitally important that you really spend time with this deck and really, really work with it. And for once, I'm going to say, especially with the guidebook. I know typically I really encourage people to use their intuition and let the guidebook be a beautiful secondary piece of the puzzle. But I think, especially when you're working personally yourself with this deck as a way of healing for yourself, doing the healing processes and really connecting with the information and the channelings that Alana Fairchild brings us from Mother Mary through the card meanings is important. I did have Mother Mary, Queen of Angels by Doreen Virtue, I believe, which was published before this deck. A lot of people get the two decks confused. The Virtue deck really was, it did not help me to get past my resistance to the Christian, the typical Christian experience of Mother Mary. So that deck, I have not done a review on. I gifted the deck to someone else. I won't be doing a review on that deck. I didn't connect with it very well at all. Whereas with this deck, I had a deep connection, a huge release and healing, especially in regards to my experience of this goddess in the Christian pantheon. And that healing is still ongoing to this day. And so I am profoundly grateful to Alana Fairchild for channeling this deck for us. And I really do recommend it, especially if your intention and focus is on healing these wounded aspects of yourself through working with Mother Mary in a new way, in a unique way, in a very, very loving, releasing way, an accepting way of yourself exactly as you are right now. So this deck has been truly powerful for me, and I really, really love it, and I do highly recommend it. And for those of you who are looking to connect with Mother Mary as a goddess, not just as Jesus Christ's mother, this deck is, in my opinion, a really great way to start feeling that connection in a very healthy, beautiful way. So I am sending you all much love, hoping you're all having a wonderful pre-fall season, gearing up for fall. It's the end of September now, so Mabon's going to be in a few days, and I'm very excited about that. But I wish you all well, and I will talk to you in the next video. Blessed be.